yeah, I had a cave baby with Dr. T. Did I not tell you guys about that?
Well, that's a new dimension to their relationship. Hello, Internet. I'm Ren, and today I want to talk about Star Trek Lower Decks Season 4, Episode 8, Caves. This week's episode is almost like a Lower Decks cave clip show, with each of our main characters telling a story about when they were trapped in a cave. Except for Tendi, who really wants to talk about a time they were trapped in a turbo lift instead. I love that it makes fun of the weird subgenre of Star Trek trapped in a cave episodes, of which there are a surprising number. This is an incredibly sweet episode that basically runs on pure sentimentality, and because I'm a sucker for stuff that makes me feel the warm and fuzzies, I had a great time. It totally worked for me. Each of the little stories we get is incredibly fun. Although they obviously don't have a ton of time to develop them, they still manage to make each one solid enough to be engaging. The moss they're investigating in the cave is incredibly cool, and I really enjoy the direction they go with it. We unfortunately don't get any more movement on the plot with the mysterious ship, so now we pretty much know, with only 2 episodes left in the season, that it isn't going to be resolved until the finale. But that's all I can say before getting into the details. Spoiler for Caves and Lower Decks generally beyond this point. The Lower Decks gang is sent on an away mission with just the 4 of them. They're all excited because they haven't been sent on a mission together in ages.
Oh, it's been too long. This is gonna be great. What's the mish?
Although Mariner is immediately disappointed when Tendi tells her,
researching moss in a cave.
What? A cave? No!
Yes! It'll be fun!
As we know from season 1, Mariner isn't a big fan of caves.
One time, I got trapped in a sentient cave for weeks. You ever been trapped in a sentient cave? That's a dark place that knows things.
Rutherford and Tendi are geeking out as usual, and Mariner is grumpin' hard. The rest of the gang are enjoying themselves. In typical Trek fashion, there's some unexpected tremors, and the gang gets trapped in the cave, and comms can't get through. The moss starts glowing, and they realize it's carnivorous, and creeping towards them. They've all been trapped in caves, so they try to remember the various ways that they got out of it.
We've all been stuck in caves before. One of us has to know a way out of this.
Tendi tries to bring up a time they were trapped in a turbo lift.
Oh yeah, like the time we all got stuck together right after that rage virus outbreak on the ship.
But Mariner shuts it down since that's not a cave.
Tendi, I love you, but that wasn't a cave, it was a turbo lift.
Boimler has an idea to use gamma night, which leads him to tell us about the time he was trapped in a cave with Ensign Levy, a wacky conspiracy theorist.
You know why they don't make comms that can't be interfered with?
Because of what they don't want us to hear.
Levy is convinced that the cave is full of Vendorian shapeshifters who are trying to set them up for a morality test.
This has Vendorian written all over it.
What? Vendor Prime's in the Beta Quadrant. There's no reason for Vendorians to be here.
That's what they want you to think.
This is a fun reference to the Star Trek The Animated Series episode The Survivor, in which they infiltrated the crew. We also saw a Vendorian spy in the Lower Decks episode Envoys. Boimler finds a handy vehicle that can get them to the shuttle, but only has 1 seat.
What are you doing?
Levy destroys it, convinced it's a trap.
What the f***, Levy? Now we're trapped!
There's a dream vehicle just sitting in the middle of a cavern with only 1 seat? Yeah, that's a classic Vendorian morality test.
Boimler lets him have it.
But do you ever wonder why you've been stuck at the same rank for like a decade? Huh? Well, it's because you're insufferable. Wolf 359 was a tragedy. Q exists, Picard isn't some hologram, and Voyager's EMH is!
And Levy is immediately proven right when the Vendorians appear.
I just want to help.
Your cruelty displeases us. You have failed our morality test.
Levy charms them with his knowledge of their culture.
They're gonna tie us together face to face and lay brood pods in our necks.
You know of our customs?
Oh, yeah, Levy's a huge Vendorian fan.
And they all end up having dinner.
Your knowledge is artfully mixed with hyperbole and fiction.
We did not, as you put it, do the Klingon Civil War.
Bug dinner.
After sharing these delicious crickets, you don't seem as dangerous as everyone says.
It's pretty cute, though. Boimler apologizes to Levy.
Well, Levy, you're still a crackpot with dangerous beliefs, but I guess I've learned not to, yell at you? I don't know.
Sort of. And the Vendorians celebrate.
Huzzah! Enemies have become friends!
What? No, not what I said!
Our morality gambit works!
They help Boimler use gamma night to boost his comms, and they get on out of there. And we find out he still hangs out with Levy sometimes.
Power of caves. They can make you friends with jerks.
Aw, Steve's not so bad. He just wants everything to be special. We've actually hung out on the holodeck a few times.
Precious. The others seem shocked and appalled that Boimler is making other friends.
What? Like without us?
Tendi tries to bring up the turbo lift again.
Sometimes being stuck together can result in surprising conversations. You know, like that time when we all got trapped in that turbo lift?
And Mariner shuts her down a second time.
Tense, that wasn't a cave. We need ideas on how to get out of this sitch.
Rude. Boimler Boimler and Rutherford find some trigaminite and use Boimler's pants and a phaser to get the material out of the rock. Rutherford also just casually reveals he and Dr. Ta'ana had a cave baby together when they got trapped in a cave on Balkus 9.
How'd you know how to do that?
Oh, I guess I learned how to solve problems like that when Dr. Tana and I were trapped in that cave with our kid.
I'm sorry. You're what?
Rutherford and Ta'ana go to Balkus 9 to gather medicinal ferns. There are some strange vibrations, and a creature called a Groflox comes out of the water and kills their guide. She regenerates into a new body by impregnating Rutherford with dermal contact.
I don't feel so good, Doc.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're pregnant.
Ta'ana helps Rutherford give birth and patches him up.
Let's take turns marking our path and watching the kid.
I called names up first babysitting shift.
Good, because the only thing I hate more than engineers are babies.
They take care of the cave baby as they try to find their way out. The Groflox appears again, and Rutherford manages to modify the universal translator so it can understand him.
We mean you no harm. We just want to get out of this cave.
Did you just talk to me?
The Groflox turns out to be pretty friendly once it knows they aren't dangerous.
I adapted this translator based on your growls. Please don't eat us.
I don't want to eat you. I'm protecting my baby.
It's just protecting its baby, a little fern guy. They promise to keep people out of the cave if the Groflox helps lead them out.
If you let us leave, we'll make sure nobody ever comes back.
Follow me.
All right, baby Thusa, let's get you out of this cave.
The gang is, of course, shook by this revelation.
Dude, you fully had a kid and never told us?
That's a huge deal. We're roommates. How come you didn't tell me this?
It also made me laugh because of the similarity of Paris and Janeway having salamander babies in Threshold and never ever talking about it ever again, which is frequently referenced and made fun of in Lower Decks because WTF.
And I haven't been able to talk about the time we got stuck in the turbo lift.
That is not a cave story.
Tendi tries to bring up the turbo lift again, and Mariner shuts her down yet again. They climb up onto a ledge to avoid the moss, and Mariner gets to work getting them out of the cave. Rutherford asks how she knows how to do that.
Since when do you know how to realign microcircuitry?
Probably from you, I don't know.
And she tells him she learned it from Delta Shift.
The way these stories have been going, I wouldn't be surprised if you got it from one of those creeps in Delta Shift.
Well, I mean...
You did? Since when can you stand being around Delta Shift?
Mariner was assigned to lead an away mission to Glish,
Since I got assigned to lead them on an away mission on Glish.
but their shuttle crash-landed in a cave. One poor crewman's leg gets busted, and they have to restore power to the shuttle to get out. Conveniently, there's some pergium in the cave, which they can use to power it, but as they walk towards it, they rapidly age, and then go back to their normal age when they back away from it. Mariner and Ensign Caravitas try to get to the wall. They bicker the whole way, but neither of them can make it.
I bet I age more gracefully than you, because I'm a better person.
I'm the ranking officer here. Go back to the young side.
Then they try to get Asif, the guy with the broken leg, to crawl over because he's a child prodigy and is younger than they are. His poor leg heals all wrong and then falls off. And then Amidau, the other Delta shifter, finds some more pergium where it just makes you younger as you approach. So poor Asif did all of that for nothing.
What? Then why did I have to walk over here?
You're a hero, Asif.
Yeah, you did great, man. Couldn't have gotten out of this without you.
And they leave his leg behind after helping him to the shuttle.
Wait, hold on, don't leave my leg!
I'm done being old, so we're just gonna have the doc grow you a new one.
Lower Decks just always manages to squeeze in the body horror, eh? They all chant Delta Shift together, and it is actually really wholesome, though.
Yeah! Delta Shift! Delta Shift! Delta Shift!
The gang is hurt, though, because she chanted with Delta Shift.
Chanted with them?
Chanting's our thing.
I can chant with other people.
And they're all annoyed at each other. They get comms working, but before Rutherford can call for an evac, the moss imprisons them. Because it turns out it's sentient and has been listening the whole time.
You cannot leave until I hear the Green One's story.
And it wants to hear Tendi's story, damn it. Tendi finally gets to talk about the time they got stuck in a turbo lift, which took place in the aftermath of the first episode of season 1.
Well, it was my first day on the Cerritos.
After getting drunk at the bar, the gang gets into a turbo lift to head to their bunks, but the systems have been damaged by the rage virus shenanigans, and they get stuck. They end up bonding and becoming friends while they wait for rescue. They play games and just hang out.
Okay, is it a living thing?
Nope.
Is it an isolinear optical chip?
Yes! Holy crap, you got it in too!
It's seriously heartwarming.
I think this was actually one of the best days of my life.
Then Shax bursts in to rescue them, startling them all most hilariously.
I'm here to save you!
Back in the Moss prison, the gang is touched, and Mariner apologizes to Tendi for not letting her tell the story before.
That was really sweet.
I'm sorry I kept cutting that story off earlier, Ten.
Seriously, that was so mean.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to say it doesn't matter if we start hanging out with Steve Levy or Delta Shift or having a baby. We'll always be friends.
The cave moss has moved and has decided that the gang are friends, not food.
I love you guys.
I have eaten many outsiders in this cave, but I have never made a friend. Can we be friends?
Of course.
It's also flattered when they tell it they came to study it.
We came in here to study you.
You did? Take your scans, as long as you continue to tell stories.
So they get their scans and tell it more cave stories, including one where they met themselves.
Oh, I have a real cave story. Remember the time we got stuck in a cave and met ourselves?
And of course, Mariner brings up her sentient cave experience.
You ever heard of a sentient cave?
Which I was hoping was going to be her cave story, honestly, because I've been curious about that since season 1. In the final scene, we see that the Vendorians were actually behind this too, and it's majorly cute. They decide not to unblock the gang's communications yet, so the little guys can enjoy it a bit longer.
Should we unblock their communications?
Nay, let them enjoy this moment for a little longer.
Y'all, I really liked this episode. I enjoyed the Clipshow vibe where we got to see little snippets of Mariner and Rutherford and Boimler on missions with crewmen we don't always see them paired with. I loved how creative and weird each of their stories were despite how short they were. And I think the choice to give Rutherford's story the most time was a good one. I absolutely loved the friendly cave monster. And I love that the moss was friendly too. It's just very sweet and wholesome and good. But I think Rutherford's story was also just the best of the bunch in terms of being funny, strange, and relatively developed given how short it was. I know some people don't like fluffy filler episodes like this one, especially in such a short season, but I personally love them. They're sweet, and they make me happy, darn it. Tendi's story was adorable and adds some additional context and more of a lived-in feel to their budding friendship in the first season, and I think it's the best kind of retcon. My guess is in classic Trek tradition, they picked an episode focused around caves to save on the animation budget for the remaining 2 episodes, which I expect will culminate the story they've been building bit by bit all season. I do think it's funny that the ending of this episode and a few badgies more were almost identical, with onlookers observing a sweet scene and deciding to give the characters a little bit longer to enjoy it.
Of her water and
Should we call Starfleet and drag him back to prison?
Yeah, but let's give him a minute.
Oh, is there anything around the station that you need help with?
Overall, I really liked Caves for what it was. I can't believe we're already almost done with this season, though. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself when there's no new Star Trek coming out, so definitely recommend some other stuff you'd like to see me review. This season so far has been a great mix of action, sentimentality, and character progression, and this episode felt like a nice break to just let the characters breathe a little and let us enjoy their friendship. It's a great addition to the season and the show in general, and it doesn't feel rushed or crowded despite them packing 4 separate stories in there, because they keep the framing device simple enough that it doesn't take up too much time while still giving us some fun and funny moments. I am slightly miffed it's another T'Lyn-less episode, but I think trying to squeeze her in there would have unfortunately disrupted the pacing. So I understood why they kept it to the core gang. I just miss her is all. But that's just my opinion. What did you think of this episode of Lower Decks? Which one of the little stories was your favorite? How do you think they're going to resolve the plot with the mystery ship, aka the USS Scroll Mouse as someone in the comments refers to it? Let me know in the comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos. See you next time. Wiedersehen.